read the question, so we come back to it after this interruption. So the question is, can you talk about restlessness? I feel a background of agitation, and then I take action from a sense of agitation. Then I eat and I shop or I do something out of this restlessness. So yes, the sense of restlessness is associated with the sense, the feeling of being a me, of being a person, of being in time and space. So it's a certain vibration in the body that is not based, is not permeated with peace. It's a certain agitation, a certain vibration in the body that is uncomfortable. So there is a resistance. We would like to have a different experience than the experience we are having right now. That is a source of a lot of angst. Most of our misery, if not all of our misery, comes from this resistance, from this non-relaxed way, a non-open way, sort of we're living with our conditions. So restlessness has in its background a certain desire for peace. And since the mind is not the way to find peace, to be in peace, and since all what we know from ignorance, while we are in ignorance, meaning while we are in the sense of me, we perceive through the lenses of the separate self, through the me perception, me and the world. The mind is agitated because from ignorance, the mind is perceiving a threat, an external threat. And it's constantly projecting that external threat. And the external threat keeps changing. It takes on, depending on the circumstance, different appearance. It could be some anxiety about your income. It could be an anxiety about your job, or anxiety about your relationship, or it can take the form of a discomfort about your work partners, or your work situation, or where you're living. So from the mind's point of view, there is a disturbance, there is a sense of threat that you're perceiving. And so there is, in that very sense of threat, there is a restlessness, because we're being drawn to peace. There is a natural draw to peace, to happiness. But since the happiness isn't found in the mind, there is an excitation. So one could say that in ignorance, we are in a constant state of restlessness. It varies in amplitude. Sometimes we feel more restless than other times. When, for example, some of our worldly desires are getting more and more, there's a higher likelihood that our worldly desires are going to be fulfilled. We feel peaceful and tranquil to a certain extent. Not 100%, but to a certain extent we are more tranquil than when we perceive that our worldly desires, our personal aims are not going to, are far from being satisfied. But across the board we are in a state of restlessness. And this restlessness is this behind the scene desire for peace and for tranquility. We feel it as a contraction in our body mind. We feel it in our body. But we cannot stand to stay with that feeling. We want to get distracted from it. There is really nowhere to go. But the mind says, yes, there is. Go to the refrigerator and have some ice cream. Or go to the mall and do some shopping. This really doesn't solve the problem. It only postpones it, only pushes it back. It delays, it sort of covers the restlessness with the blanket of comfort in having shopped or enjoying some food. So what to do about this situation? About this discomfort, the discomfort of restlessness, the discomfort of having situations not being as the mind wants them, is to somehow figure a way of being still, of being open. You have to experiment with it. You have to give yourself, expose yourself, and see how it unfolds for you. Remain vulnerable, remain in your vulnerability. And there is a safety in being open, because in openness and being open there is no struggle, and there is nothing to defend. In a way, it's scary when we have been so used to take a defensive stance. But once you experiment with it, you try to release and relax your defensive position, you might be pleasantly surprised in finding that there is really nothing that's getting hurt. There's really nothing at stake. There's no real danger. And as you experience the safety of remaining still and open, it will give you more confidence in being open and being still with whatever is arising. These are like practices of surrendering. Surrendering meaning sort of releasing your hold, releasing your grip, relaxing your grip. And no matter what is arising, sort of trusting the higher power, trusting the universal show the universal play. So it's very important that you don't blame yourself, you don't judge yourself, don't label yourself. Instead, remain flexible and remain with the spirit of experimenting with various ways of being with restlessness. You see, one thing that you will learn in your exploration is that this restlessness cannot be cured in pursuing worldly desires. It cannot be cured in pursuing relationships or pursuing wealth or pursuing some kind of addictions or distractions. Whatever addiction you have that would cover up your restlessness is only temporary and won't really cure your restlessness. You have to go to the source and notice that at the source there is no restlessness. There is peace and tranquility. The source being the presence, the awareness. So to question what is it that is at risk, or what is it that is threatened, or what is it that is unsafe? You have to ask these questions to yourself. Explore these questions. Is there any real danger? What is it that is experiencing the danger? Obviously, it is not the body that is experiencing a danger. It is you. So what is this? What is this me? What is this me that is experiencing danger, and why? What is the danger? What is the risk? You have to do this contemplation. Of course, whenever there is a situation that calls your attention out of a purely circumstantial situation that requires for you to attend to it, for example, a water pipe breaks in your house, you act and you do your best. Always, when you are doing your best, meaning with your best intention, you're trying your best within whatever limitations you have, whatever understanding you have at the moment, whatever clarity you have at the moment, or lack of clarity at the moment, whatever the situation, the way it presents itself, you're attending to it the best you can. And then you can release the result of your activity. You do your best and you leave everything else to the hands of God. There is peace in that way of relating with situations. That does not have an attachment to the result, or does not have any self-judgment. So this background of agitation is this hum, is the me, is the sense of me, it's the me feeling. This me feeling is is a background of agitation. When we identify ourselves with a form, like with this body, any sort of form identification that we do limits our infinite openness. It contracts the space, and this belief that I am a mortal body mind, as long as it has not been uprooted, completely uprooted, it remains in the background as a background of agitation. But ask yourself, what is it that perceives this agitation? And after all, an agitation is a neutral bodily sensation with a me, an I thought. Why is this happening to me? I thought I was on the other side of this problem. Why are they treating me this way? There is a bodily sensation with a me story, an I story. So this, what we refer to as agitation, can be deconstructed. You have to do this sort of experimentation to get to see that an agitation is a bodily sensation. You can locate it in your body. And this agitation, this bodily sensation, once you locate it in your body, you can turn your attention to the awareness that perceives, that cognizes this bodily sensation. Because the observer, the awareness that perceives, is not agitated. It's peaceful. It's the peace of presence. And the agitation is not the agitation. One moment.
Hey, what is this? Hello?
Yes, this is a non-duality satsang. It's a. Are you familiar with non-duality?
No.
Okay, so if you want, you're welcome to follow for a few minutes, and if it does not interest you, it's not a problem, but it's about non-duality. Sure, you're welcome. So this agitation that
Probably going to be banned.
okay, I understand that somebody muted me. So sorry about that. Do you hear me now? Okay. Okay, yeah, thank you, Lee. So once you're able to deconstruct the agitation into just a bodily sensation, As I was saying, you can go to what is it that perceives that. And the next thing that you can contemplate is that this agitation that is appearing in a background that is not agitated, that is peaceful, meaning presence, awareness, is peace itself. The agitation is an image on the screen. It's a movement. It's an energetic movement on the screen of consciousness. And that energetic movement is not something out there that you need to cure, that you need to fix, that you need to repair. In fact, you are perceiving, whatever you're perceiving your own perception. If it's a bodily sensation, you are experiencing your very perception, your very experience. Sorry, some people keep showing up, and so it's a non-dual experience. The experience of the image on the screen is. Hello, Loni.
Hello.
So the experience of awareness is a non-dual experience. Whatever you're experiencing as an emotion or as an agitation or a feeling is not something that you need to repair. You don't need to fix it, because there is nothing out there to fix. It is like in a dream. In the dream, you perceive a lion chasing you, but in fact, there is nothing that you need to do. There is no real lion chasing you. The sensations are like that. Emotions are like that. The mind perceives them as problems that you need to repair, problems that you need to fix. And so the mind tells you, go and do this and do that and try to solve the problem so that you can feel better. And so you go out and you follow the mind and you try to get a better relationship, or you try to get a bigger house or a better job, or you go out there, you follow the mind in order to fix the problem, but it doesn't fix the problem, because there is no problem. There is no problem out there. If you want to use the term problem, the problem is believing that there is a problem out there. When we believe that there is an internal self, a separate me, and an outside world that needs to be repaired, needs to play according to my rules, according to how I desire it. From that perspective, there is a contraction and unhappiness in your life. So non-duality is an invitation to explore and to comprehend that there is no external world. There are no external events that are occurring. Once you deeply understand that, there will be a great relief in your life, because you will no longer be concerned about fixing the world, fixing your life. All that will dissolve. So if you have any questions, you can pose your question, or you can write them in the chat box. As soon as you speak up your question, you will be on the air. It doesn't matter, whatever question you have, if it's question something that's arising in your life or something you need some clarity about uh, in your readings or your meditation, we can explore them together. You see, once you are able to relax, to give space to whatever feeling is arising in your body, you will find yourself less and less disturbed by events. Most of the difficulties we have in our life have to do with our feelings. There is ample space for relaxation. There is infinite space around anything that arises. So exploration can be as simple as scanning whatever is happening in your body-mind and relaxing around it, allowing it to be, instead of trying to solve it with thought, instead of trying to address it with your mind. Because the mind, there is nothing fresh or new in the mind. It's very repetitive. It's a tool that uses past knowledge to repeat it. It uses the past. There isn't any freshness in thinking. Creativity, creative thought arrives not from the past. It arrives from that dimensionless dimension, from the beyond. Suddenly you go, aha, something sort of breaks through the clouds and you sort of understand something. It's not through thinking. Contemplation is different from thinking. Contemplation is abiding in stillness. It's a willingness to be still, to be open, to be vulnerable, to be innocent with whatever is arising. Thinking is trying to use old methods to cure problems. Problems that it projects, that the mind projects. This is why it is said that life is a very good sadhana, because life presents you with all sorts of circumstances and situations that do not match your desires. They do not match your expectations. And so feelings get triggered. This is a great opportunity when there is a trigger of feelings or emotions, to come to the openness, because this is the time that it really matters, is to come to the openness and allow whatever is arising to occupy all the space, to expand in the entire space without contracting around it. You can find your way around doing this exercise. There are many ways of doing it, and the best way is your way, the way that you discover. But the general gist of what you do is to recognize that there is room around all of this. There is no real danger, and you do not need to bring the mind to rescue the situation. When the mind comes in, it doesn't rescue the situation, it makes it worse. Because the mind, the separate mind, the separate mind perceives an outside world, and therefore is constantly perceiving a threat to the inside self, to the internal self. So if you have any questions. Oh. Dolores, are you trying to talk to me? Can you hear me? Oops. One moment, Dolores. I don't hear you. Let me see.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, yes. Sorry about that, Dolores. I had your speakerphone low. Yes, yes, I can hear you.
Hi.
Hello, Dolores.
I don't have a question. It was just that it's so odd that that first question that you answered, it was the exact space that I was in this whole past weekend. And then for someone to bring that up and you addressed it so thoroughly for me, I just wanted to let you know that was right where I was at, and you kind of really answered my question. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna let go of the mic.
Yeah. It's so fascinating how once we are in the contemplation of consciousness, of truth, of the reality, there are more and more events of synchronicity. We start noticing more and more synchronicity in our life. And every day there are observations like that. And yeah, it's quite magical. Because consciousness is borderless. There are no borders to consciousness. The mind creates imagined borders. It says me and not me. Me and the world. Me and you. But where is there really a division in your experience? Because if you go to thought, the thought says, oh yeah, of course there is a division. This is my body and that is your body. But when you don't pose a question to the mind, when you pose a question to consciousness, when you go to your direct experience and ask yourself, wait a minute, what is outside of myself in my experience? Your experience right now, you're perceiving this perception. So you can start right there. You can start with the perception that you're perceiving, because that's a fact that you are perceiving this perception. So you ask yourself, where is this perception? Is it out there? Or is it in here, very intimately in here? Am I perceiving something that's out there? Or am I perceiving my perception? It's my perception that I'm perceiving. And my perception is intimate. It's right here. It's not 5-10 inches away from me or a meter away from me. It's an important contemplation to start with your direct experience. When you are perceiving a thought, let's say you're thinking about your mother. Thought says your mother is out there, or maybe she's passed, or whatever. She's not there. She's not here. That's thought says that, but you're experiencing the thought that says mom is not here. Where is that thought that you're experiencing it? Is it out there somewhere? Or isn't it intimately right here, made out of the awareness? Because awareness is it's the substance of every thought, of every perception. Without awareness, what is a thought? Imagine a thought without awareness. What would perceive it? Or imagine this perception right here without awareness. What would this perception be? So every experience you have is made out of awareness. And what's beautiful about awareness is that it's peace. It's inner tranquility. It's tranquility. Because it's not trying to do anything. It's the mind that tries to get a better job, a better position, a better pay, a better partner, a better home, whatever. It's the mind that is in the activity management business. Consciousness isn't in any business. It's peace and happiness. You experience the substance of this perception, the substance of, like right now you're hearing these words. The hearing of these words is made out of awareness. It is awareness that's hearing these words. It's not a body-mind. Body-mind is an instrument. You have the eyes, the ears, the nose, the senses. But the senses don't hear, don't see. It's you as awareness that perceives. It's not the instrument that perceives. The instrument is just a tool. And awareness, consciousness, presence, whatever word you use, is peace. So the agitation or the restlessness that arises, the mind makes a big deal out of it. The mind says, oh my God, I've got a big problem. But the mind loves problems. It works in problems. It's a problem. It projects problem and runs after the problems to fix them, and then it pats itself on the back, says, oh wow, I'm such a great problem solver. While the mind is doing that, is projecting problems and solving problems supposedly, without really succeeding. Consciousness, presence, awareness, which is the real substance of the mind, the substance of everything, is peace and tranquility and happiness and bliss. That's the realization of the self. That's the realization of the truth of your true nature. It's the experience of causeless peace and happiness. not a peace and happiness that depends on money or on relationships or on a certain circumstance or on any event. So if there are any questions.
So Magdi,
Yes, Dolores.
do you recommend meditation as a practice? Do you recommend any practices you mentioned in that first when you were answering that first question about kind of going into silence and awareness? And I know practices are like future oriented or whatever, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
What suggest?
Yeah. Well, you know, if you follow what I'm saying, you will find there are a lot of, let's say, hints. There are a lot of pointers. There are a lot of, I wouldn't necessarily call them practices, but there are a lot of hints and shortcuts and pointers that you can contemplate. So already there's a whole array of pointers that are shared, and in your questions also you get certain tools. But about practice, if there is something that really speaks to you, that comes from your heart, that comes from your passion, that's being downloaded from the inner guru. And whatever is downloaded from the inner teacher, you can follow. Whatever is downloaded from God, you can follow. But whatever is downloaded from the mind, like, oh, I need to use this method of repeating a mantra, and if I repeat it 1,000 times a day, in 10 years I will be enlightened. That's not coming from the love. That's coming from some kind of interest. It's like a dealing. It's like a trade. I'll give you 10 years of my life and you give me enlightenment. You know, it's like I give you $20,000 and you give me that Maserati, whatever, that car, that thing. So if something speaks to you from your heart, then you can follow it. You don't need to call it a practice. It's just, actually, you know, it will call your attention. But if you're looking for a practice, I would say be very alert. Watch closely and carefully the habitual tendencies of the mind and the habitual tendencies whenever you're feeling a certain quotes unquote off feeling, some kind of discomfort in your body. Notice how right away the me Dolores, is on the scene. blaming, judging, evaluating, looking for a method out, whatever. Be very intimate with everything that's happening within your body-mind, not just your thoughts, but the entire realm of your experience. Not just the content of your experience, but the entire arena, the entire field of your experience. Without trying to change anything, without trying to fix anything. Be courageous. Trust the unknown. Don't keep going back to the mind that says, yeah, I can help you, that's what you need to do. Trust the unknown. Reality is not of the mind, nor of the senses. It's beyond the images on the screen, beyond the experience, beyond the phenomenal events. The mind refers it as the unknown and discards it. But it is that realm that the mind does not know that is the reality of experience. And the more you are abiding and trusting and living in the unknown, in the wondrous mystery and infinite potentiality of consciousness, you're in good hands. You're on the right path. The mind keeps creating images of me in time. Dolores living in space and time. But ask yourself, what is it that perceives these impressions? The impressions of Dolores in space and time. Obviously, there is something that perceives that. And that something that perceives Dolores in space and time is not perceived. Yet it's undeniable. It's very real. It's the reality of consciousness. So be open to that. Not to what is perceived, but to the awareness, to the aware presence. That is the peace and the stillness. That is the screen of all the images. It's available. It requires no effort. It's love. It's tenderness. It's innocence. It's vulnerability. It's willingness. You follow?
Yes, I follow. I'm listening. I follow.
Yes. It's, in a way, it's as if it is, the mind can't get it. It's a different language than the language of the mind. Sometimes it's referred to as the language of the heart. So it's available. It's more intimate than we think.
So just if it's a practice that speaks to my heart, as something that really speaks to me, or and just being aware of myself totally. Like earlier today, I was in the gym, and the inauguration of the Maryland governor was on, and I don't call myself Republican, but my reaction, I just kind of watched my reaction to that. I didn't react. I just watched my reaction to seeing the inauguration.
Yeah. So you're watching the inauguration, you're watching your reaction, and you're in the gym. But there is also the entire space of the gym. There is also whatever equipment you're working on in the gym. There is that perception. There is also the entire field of energy that's flowing through the body. There are also other people possibly in the gym, assuming it's public gym. There's all of that also. It's all occurring in the openness. It's all one field of presence. Yes? So you're open to all of that. There isn't like Dolores says, would like that fellow not to be there, would like this to be differently. It's an openness to, it's a complete openness. It's an across the board openness. So you can sort of like, it's as if you can expand your openness, not just to what you're watching, which is the election of the mayoral election, but expand your openness to envelop everything, to be the infinite broadness, because that's the quality of consciousness. It's complete openness. Like right now, you're perceiving the screen, and you're also perceiving, well, I don't know where you are, right? So I don't have your mind perception, but here I perceive these couches, this wall, these colors, there's this window, this painting. It's a global, and it's all invited in the openness. So invite in your perception everything to be equal, to be on the same footing.
Yeah. That feels right. Yes.
And also,
I will work with that.
Be very sweet about it. No, it's not like climbing Mount Everest. It's not like something that you have to do or else. Just play with it. Just have fun with it. Love it. Play with it. Just see how far you can go with it. Say, well, maybe let me me see if I can even be more open. Just play with it. Don't turn it into a measuring stick. You know, just it's so natural. Openness is our natural state. And then contraction is something we learn. We pick up. We learn, like the neighbor says, "Oh yeah, Dorothy. She's not, And so we pick up these, and then so now we don't like Dorothy, and then they tell us about the other neighbor. And the openness get sort of clouded by stuff that we pick up along the way. And unfortunately, we don't pick up stuff and let it go. We pick it up and we hold on to it. And we identify with it. Then we pick up another judgment, another opinion from somebody else, and we hold on to that. And we spend our life accumulating. We accumulate more and more belief systems and opinions and judgments and likes and dislikes, and before we know it, we're burdened. We have like lines on our face. We're worried, and we don't like this neighbor. We don't like this about that person. We don't like this partner at work because of this and that reason. And all this stuff, we hold on to it. Imagine somebody tells you, your neighbor tells you, "Oh yeah, this other neighbor over there is really stupid. They don't mow their grass every week, blah blah, whatever." And you go, "Oh wow, okay, nice, thank you. Okay, beautiful." And it dissolves in an instant. You don't hold on to it. You're like an open space. You don't hold on to it. This way you can meet the other neighbor freshly. You might find, who knows, that this neighbor has a bad back and cannot mow the grass. Anyways, who cares? It's not. This neighbor might be a great musician, and you might enjoy spending a beautiful time with that person, but because you remain open. Don't accumulate. We do that so much. We accumulate a lot of junk, and it burdens us. It's not happy. It doesn't bring us any happiness. It limits our freedom. Yeah, follow the happiness, the beauty, the happiness, the love, the tenderness, the kindness. Follow a path that's full of sunlight, sunshine, across the board, in your work, in your life, in your relationships, with just a beautiful, sweet, loving space that is not concerned about me and me. The concerns about me are endless. And what is this me? You're not a me. You are consciousness. You are presence, not a me. Lone, hello, Lone. Yes. Let me see if I can hear you, Lone. One moment.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I do, Lone.
Okay. Thank
Hello.
you. Thank you. Thank
Yes,
you.
I hear you. Sure.
Okay. Can I don't know what the question is.
Okay.
I would like to share something. Is that okay?
Of course.
Yeah. Okay. It's life is wild because there's so much altering. There's periods where everything, where the person completely falls away and there's just consciousness, actually only the seeing, the awareness, and being there, it is seen, it's seen like everything is happening inside me. Yeah. And it's also experienced as what is happening is more like a dream, that some it loses some of the heavy reality. It's more like it's more dreamlike. It's more and it's happening. It's experienced. It's like I'm the source of it. Being from that place, what is truly. And then it closes again, and the identification with the seeker shows up again. And as a seeker, I really, really tried everything, because this is really, I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted now. There's so much tiredness. There's been this fire in the heart for a couple of years, and that seems less and less, but there's just, I'm so exhausted. The body is exhausted. I'm not exhausted, but the body is very, very exhausted. So there seems to be this flip-flop, flip-flop, flip-flop. And sometimes, when the identification with the seeker shows up, it's also, okay, I cannot do this anymore. It shows up like this. Also, when person falls away and everything is seen, there's the knowing that all of it is me. I can look into your eyes, Maggie, and you're me. I can look into whatever, and it is me. In a deep sense. All of it is me. So this is also some sort of a self-talk, a monologue. Yeah. But you see, when the identification with the seeker is very strong, it feels very pointless. Then mind grabs it, and well, what's the point then? And there's the exhaustion and the longing. Sometimes the longing for being caught in the dream, and only in the dream shows up, before, when I had a life, when I could trust free will, and so I don't know if you could comment on that.
Well, at the mind level, it seems to be a very long, arduous journey of with a lot of disappointments, a lot of wonderful experiences, and then the separate self arises again, and it's miserable, and then we come to the peace again, and it goes back and forth. At the mind level, that's true as a story, but at the reality level, it's this complete wholeness, this complete presence that is not in time and space. So it's like in our waking state, there is this wakefulness, and then we go to sleep, and then our dreams are so confusing and sometimes unhappy. But the reality of the dreams is not in the dream. The dream is in the reality, but the reality is not in the dream. So although at some level it's true, this back and forth, this openness and then this contraction, it's important not to give the mind a lot of credibility. It's important not to give these stories, whenever they arise, your validity, not to validate these thoughts, because the reality of your experience is always this very moment, right here, right now, that is not in time. Yes, so consciousness is not in time. And the revelation of consciousness is not a revelation that occurs in time. It is the timeless. And it is not revealed to the mind, because the mind is in time and cannot experience the timeless, or has no peak in the timeless. Whenever there is a peak in the timeless, it is the timeless that's revealing itself to itself, from itself to itself. That's knowing itself. It's a sort of a play of consciousness with itself. So it's important that whenever time and space arise, for you to enjoy the realization that time and space are arising in the openness of being, in the borderless presence, in the aware presence that perceives them. It's very important that you love the journey and you celebrate the journey, every moment of it, every turn of it, every ups and downs of it, up and down of the journey. And not in any end result. The end result is consciousness, which is eternal, ever present. But from the mind's point of view, the mind perceives a state, perceive an end result as a state, as an experience. And it plays the game of frustration, which is complete a hoax. Because frustration is only real from the I am frustrated, from I should have things different, I should be completely enlightened by now. Frustration only has its credibility from the I, from the separate self point of view, which is a dream character, right here, right now. Where is this I? Is it not pure aware presence? Pure aware presence. But somebody has to listen to the separate self story. So given that there is no reality to it, the separate self goes into your body, in your belly, in your chest, in your shoulders, in your neck, and inhabits your body, and then you're feeling. So you're feeling the separation. But actually, you're not feeling any separation. You're just perceiving a sensation. You can go any time that there is some sort of frustration in your body, go to it and notice it's just pure sensation. That's its substance is awareness itself. The awareness that perceives it, that recognizes it, that knows it, but it perceives it as itself. It perceives consciousness, perceives only consciousness. It does not perceive any object. It's the mind that labels, that says I and this, me and that. In time and space experience, the time and space dimension. So yes, everything is me. But there is nothing. If, things, the objective world is it's a labeling mechanism of the mind, which is okay. It has its functions, you know. We need to know where is Paris, which direction is the airport. We need to know where to shop for food. So it's just a purely at the functional, at the functional level. It's a mechanistic dimension. But from the reality perspective, all there is awareness, all there is consciousness, meaning all there is peace and happiness. So but it's important that you open yourself to the peace and happiness in the complete presence of whatever is on the screen, not in the absence, not only in the absence of the world, body, mind, but in the presence of the world, body, mind, that you stay with the peace, not as an avoidance of whatever is arising at the world, body, mind dimension, but as a celebration of consciousness, the celebration of the freedom of consciousness, how consciousness permeates everything, irrespective of what is on the screen. So your love is not a love for any experience or for any result. It is complete openness. Your love is a complete openness. That everybody celebrates, everything celebrates. The trees celebrate your love, the wind, the sky, people in the market. It's not personal. There is no personal journey. That's a dream.
May I ask you? Can I ask you something?
Sure.
Yeah, because when the identification with the seeker is very strong, it doesn't seem that I have this power to You know, the seeker doesn't have this power to choose to love this. It something.
Mhm. It is not the seeker that loves. It is
No.
always consciousness that loves.
Yeah.
The seeker is pursuing, is judging, is measuring. It's not the seeker that loves. It is consciousness that loves. It loves the seeker. It loves the non-seeker. It loves. So it is consciousness that loves, not the seeker. So when the seeker comes on board, that is not all what comes on board. First, it's important to contemplate that the seeker comes on the stage. Yes? Because if there is no stage, where would the seeker be? It would be dissolved. So the seeker rises on the stage. What is the stage if not consciousness? Yes? So the seeker arises on the stage of consciousness. So it arises in the love already. All we need to do is recognize the love. It's not the seeker that is loving. It is the stage that is love. Stage is presence, is openness. So it's a recognition of the love that already is. So when I say love everything that's arising, meaning recognize the love that embraces everything that arises. It's a recognition. It's when you have fruits in your kitchen and they are not ripe, the pear or the apple or the banana, they're sitting there. But when they ripen, there is a smell, there is a perfume of the apple, of the pear, of the banana in the kitchen, in the house. You recognize the perfume. So it's a recognition of the perfume. And of course, there is a ripening process where through our love and our interest, actually through our interest and our love in truth, there is a ripening, there is a fruition, there is the perfume of love, the recognition of the perfume of love effortlessly is available. And I can sense the beauty and the love in you. It's there. Love doesn't battle. The stage does not battle with the seeker that arises on the stage. Absolutely. It's just there. The stage is right there. It doesn't try to get rid of the seeker or to make it better seeker or to none of that. It's like when you go to sleep at night, you are completely open to whatever images arise in your night dream. They could be, images of maybe traveling to Europe or being in Paris or being in the Bahamas or having dinner with some friends or just some fantastic images of colors and shapes, and you are effortlessly open to all of these dream impressions, and you actually they're arising out of you. They're made out of you. They're thoughts and mind events. They're made out of you. So their substance is you. In the same way, in the same manner, the seeker that arises on the stage, the substance of the seeker is the stage. The stage being awareness and the seeker being the bodily impression, the bodily sensations, and the thoughts. Because what is a seeker after all, if not thought and bodily sensations? Because there is really no actual seeker outside of a feeling and some images or thoughts, yes? That's when we say seeker, that's what we're referring to. We're referring to bodily sensations and to thoughts that we label as a seeker. We label them as a seeker because these thoughts are saying, Lonnie, you are not enlightened enough. You need to get more enlightened, and you need to get enlightened for next 10 years, not just for 2 years. And you see, it's their thoughts that are seeking something. They're imagining these thoughts. Imagine a Lonnie as a woman or as a person, and they imagine a person in time, an object in time, that now has reached 80% enlightenment and that needs to, in 10 minutes reach 99% enlightenment. So these thoughts and also feelings are basically a certain, they're expressing is they're creating an imagined you, an imagined person that is lacking happiness, lacking freedom, lacking joy. But consciousness lacks nothing. Consciousness is freedom, joy, boundless, borderless, infinite, eternal freedom, joy, peace, and happiness. That is not caused by anything. That's not due to money or due to the body's health or due to, yes, you see? So the seeker is just this habitual, inherited tendency to believe that we are someone that lacks something. So in this particular case, we are someone, meaning a spiritual person, that is lacking something, lacking enlightenment or full enlightenment. So it's that's why it's called a seeker, meaning a spiritual seeker. But it's not different from somebody believing that they are somebody that's lacking $1 million, or that's lacking having a great marriage, a great partner, etc. It's the same mechanism of thought projecting a person, an imagined person, and then the feeling that yes, this person is lacking something. And it's all of that phenomenal unfolding is arising and is completely in need and dependent of awareness, is made out of awareness. And awareness isn't doing any of that. It's like, it's the stage. Somebody can get on the stage and dance and dance. The stage doesn't move. It's not doing anything. Consciousness is not in the does not need to do anything because it already is everything. It's already the peace, not an empty everything. It's a joyous, fulfilled, fantastic, joyful, to the brim, blissful, peaceful, free, lacking nothing. So, Yeah. So, okay. Um, is there any other question, anybody? Okay, so as you know, this satsang will be available on YouTube. You can watch it if you wanted to review anything that I said. And if there are no more questions, thank you very much for your lovely company.
Thank you, Magdi.
Thank you. Thank you.
Excellent
Beautiful.
session.
Beautiful. We'll see you soon. Be
Okay.
well. Be well. Bye-bye.